Well, the first thing that we always do, and this is what we encourage families to do, is acknowledge how the child is feeling. Notice their face, kind of rephrase what you observed in the situation. Ask the child, how are you feeling? Talk about, well, your eyebrows are up, your mouth is going down, you look like you're feeling. And with really young kids, you may need to, make a leap of faith of what you think they're feeling. But as kids get more experience, they'll be able to name their emotions. So definitely, first of all, acknowledge their emotions and their feelings. Also, comforting gestures are fine too. If this child is accepting of maybe a hug, a pat on the back, a snuggle on a lap. We do that at school. You could certainly do that at home. We often also ask the children, what do you need? What could I do to help you right now? You look like you're feeling, fill in the blank. And then say, what could I do to help you with this situation right now? We also try to make sure that we have lots of soothing materials here at school that don't have a right or a wrong way to use them. Things like Play-Doh. Even the adults that sit at the Play-Doh table cannot help but touch and squeeze and manipulate the Play-Doh. It's very, very calming. So that's a really great thing to have available so that you can pull it out when your child is feeling stressed. Also things like, we have a texture table at school where we have, it's kind of like an indoor sandbox, just little things to scoop and pour. And of course, art materials. It's a great way to kind of release emotions. We also are really careful about just the way we set up the environment, the schedule, the activities, so that we are aware of what children might be needing, and we're making sure that we're setting up in a way that will help them be successful. I'm not going to take my child to the grocery store at 5 o'clock at night right before dinner, because that's just a recipe for disaster. So I might need to go at 11 o'clock in the morning right after they've had a good breakfast and have played outside for a while. It's the same kind of thing that we do at school. We make sure that there's a balance of inside time, outside time. Large group times where we have expectations and free play time. Opportunities to play with groups of kids or individually. So just kind of setting that up for success ahead of time.
And then we also do where, often we walk through things before they actually happen. Kind of like that idea of going to the grocery store. Okay, we're going to go to the grocery store. And when we're in the grocery store, I bet we're going to see things we really want. And we can talk about that, but we might not be able to get everything we want. Sometimes here at preschool, okay, we're going to get ready to go outside and be on the climber. Or we're going to go ride on the riding toys. And I know all of you really, really, really want to ride on that one special riding toy. What are we going to do? How are we going to manage that when we don't get our turn right away?
So we kind of walk the kids through ways to kind of handle those situations before they're actually thrown in them. Then when we get outside and every child is running to that one favorite riding toy, we get to say, oh, wait a second. Do you remember what we talked about? We have a plan for how we're going to make this work so that everybody feels okay about it. Also, we have the luxury of preschool of having lots of things. Not just one book, but multiple books.
Not just one block, but lots of them.
Yeah. So if we had a preschool with just one baby doll, we would expect that there are going to be some tussles over the baby dolls. So that's one of the things we also do at school. Again, the first step is almost always acknowledge the emotions and the feelings. Help the child identify them, give them some language for those, and we try to go beyond sad, mad, frustrated. We try to add, irritated, just lots of other words.
Exasperated, annoyed,
thrilled, all those things. We teach the kids about calm breaths. Some of you that have been Zooming with us have seen us talk about hot cocoa breaths. We did the big breath paintings with Robin. So finding ways to help children visualize those deep breaths and modeling for the kids. We take deep breaths. We often tell the kids, oh, I'm really frustrated because X happened. So I'm going to calm myself down by taking some deep breaths. I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to blow them out. So really modeling that and providing opportunities for kids to do that, especially when they're not in the middle of a heavy, heated moment, kind of teaching them that strategy beforehand. We also really try to get the kids to have some responsibility for what's going on. So say that there's been a pushing accident, whether it was intentional or not, and a child is crying, we might say, hey, Malia, look at Shaquille's face. Shaquille has tears coming down. He looks like he's upset. Shaquille, do you want to say anything to Malia? Allow Shaquille to say something. Malia, do you have anything you'd like to say to Shaquille? We don't automatically say, Malia, you need to say I'm sorry to Shaquille. She might not be sorry.
Yeah, and then that's not really teaching them to really deal with their feelings. It's putting that Band-Aid on, I'm supposed to say I'm sorry, so I'm just going to say it.
and it may not make Shaquille feel any better anyway. So we say, we see what they say to each other and kind of go from there. And we may prompt them by, Malia, let's get a tissue for Shaquille's tears. And so we'll have Malia go get a tissue and offer it to Shaquille. Shaquille doesn't have to take it. He might say no, but at least she's staying with the problem to kind of stay with it long enough to help Shaquille feel a little bit better. So again, we try to set up the environment for success first. Like we talked about, having multiple things. Now, we don't always have multiple things. Sometimes kids do need to take them one at a time. We really look at it more as turn taking. Sharing is more of an intrinsic thing that comes from within the child. It does happen at preschool. It's hard to demand for that to happen. So we try to have some parameters of having multiple opportunities, being very clear about what's happening. These 3 kids are going to go play with, the blocks today first, and then when they're done, this next group of 3 kids will go play with that. So also letting them know that they will have a turn, but it may not be right now.
And then one of the things I really like to do is, we have a really big clock here in our classroom, and I think it's a great tool to get a piece of tape and put it on the clock and say, okay, I see you really, really, really need a turn with that, and I want you to have a turn. So I'm going to put this piece of tape right here. When the long hand touches this piece of tape, it will be your turn.
And that's something we do for, limited times, and especially for something brand new that everybody wants to use that day. But most of the time, we go back to the children, say, Malia, what do you want to say to Shaquille? And we encourage Malia, we kind of coach her to say, Shaquille, please give me that toy when you're done. And so then we encourage Shaquille to look at Malia and say, okay. And then we wait. We often don't set a time frame, except for new things. We kind of wait. We want Shaquille to feel like you get to use it until you're done, and then you get to pass it on. Now, we also really watch kids over more than just a single day. We watch, does Shaquille always keep toys for a really long time? Does Malia always go to Shaquille and ask for things right away? So we try to see if there's a pattern going on there and see what we can do to help solve that pattern. But in general, we try to let the kids know that you will get the turn that you need. And we're not going to enforce a limited turn-taking, sharing opportunity on you.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Hope that answers some of your questions.